Week 12 of the 2024 NFL season is here, and it's shaping up to be another wild week for fantasy football. Week 11 saw unexpected breakouts, with Anthony Richardson and Jameis Winston finishing QB4 and QB6, respectively, and a surprise in the top 10 broad receiver performances from Jerry Jeudy, Nick Westbrook-Akine, and Christian Watson. Tight ends also delivered unpredictable results, with names like Jonnu Smith and Juwan Johnson claiming T1 finishes. As the league's volatility continues, making the correct lineup decisions remains crucial. Let's dive into Week 12's fantasy rankings and trends. Quarterbacks. Stock up. Justin Herbert has been on fire, finishing as a top 12 quarterback in 4 straight games. Facing a Ravens defense that's allowed the 5th most fantasy points to QBs, Herbert is a top 5 option this week. Bo Nix has also been reliable, ranking as a top 12 QB in 5 of his last 7 games. With the Raiders on deck, he's a solid start. Stock down. Sam Darnold bounced back in Week 11 with 3 touchdowns against the Titans, but he faces a stingy Bears defense this week, making him a risky play. Jayden Daniels, despite remaining a top-tier QB, has underwhelmed with back-to-back finishes of QB 24 and QB 23. A tough matchup against Dallas makes him a cautious start. Running backs. Stock up. Tyrone Tracy Jr. has delivered 3 top 10 RB finishes in his last 5 games and faces a Buccaneers defense that has struggled against backfields. Bucky Irving, who recently delivered an RB6 finish, gets a juicy matchup against a Giants defense that's been torched by running backs all season. Stock down. Aaron Jones has been inconsistent, finishing above RB19 just once in his last 6 outings. He remains a low-floor, top 20 option. DeAndre Swift, despite likely playing in Week 12, may cede more work to Roscoe Johnson. Swift's upside is limited when facing a Vikings defense that rarely allows big RB performances. Wide receivers. Stock up. Mike Evans is thriving without Chris Godwin, averaging 0.57 fantasy points per route run, a number second only to Tyreek Hill. He's a must-start. Rookie lad McConkey faces the Ravens, who have allowed the most fantasy points to WRs in 2024. With 2 100-yard games in his last 4, McConkey is a solid play. Stock down. Romeo Dew has been ineffective, finishing outside the top 45 WRs in 3 straight games. Against the 49ers, he's a desperation-only option. Jaylen Waddle hasn't topped 7.1 half PPR points in 9 games, making him a precarious start despite his upside. Tight ends. Stock up. Jonnu Smith continues to shine, finishing twice as a top 2 tight end in his last 5 games. He's a strong streaming option with consistent production at a thin position. Ja'Tavion Sanders is also a decent dart throw against the Chiefs, who have allowed the 5th most fantasy points to tight ends. Stock down. Tucker Kraft has been a non-factor, with 4 targets or fewer in 4 of his last 5 games. Kraft should stay on benches when facing the 49ers, who dominate against tight ends. As Week 12 unfolds, these rankings and trends will help guide your most challenging fantasy decisions. Stay tuned for updates as kickoff approaches.